back, mutants. Time for another edition of MVP Mutant Radio. This is your host, Streebo.
And Johnny Brento.
Back in the co-pilot seat here on the Mutantville mothership. Today we are going to unveil a very special new format for MVP Mutant Radio called Mutant Movie Reviews, as you can see here on the video, though if you're listening to this via podcast format, I'm pointing at the screen behind us with all the lovely promotional artwork and everything, created by our very own Johnny Brento here in studio. But before we go too far down the path of sucking each other's dicks, let's talk about the movie we're here to discuss. Mutant Movie Reviews are to discuss films that defy genre classification. So today we are looking at a true classic. One man's trash is another man's class. That's right, we're talking about Ninja 3, The Domination.
A film that is odd, strange, and special.
Yes. It's what do you get when you combine everything that is the 80s, from aerobic dancing to bad music to video games to ninjas and The Exorcist. You get Ninja 3.
There are times when a genre film manages to bring together all the elements of a time period, like say the 80s, for example, and just inject it into your veins like Roadhouse. This is not one of those films. It's different. It's like a film that could be so bad it's good, although I probably at the time didn't perceive it that way because I was so into everything it was trying to be. Ostensibly a Shokasugi film with some really nice eye candy, which at the time I was, smitten with by like every other boy.
Yes, Lucinda Dickey is very hot in this, and this was hot off her role in Breakin'. Yes, it's called Ninja 3, The Domination, because it's supposed to be the third in this series of totally unconnected, unrelated films that began...
Dominating your libido and your desire to be a ninja warrior.
Started with Enter the Ninja first, the second was Revenge of the Ninja, and the third and final in the series was Ninja 3, The Domination. Now, before we do our deep dive into this stuff, I'm going to lay out the format a little bit and also discuss some potential candidates for future editions of Mutant Movie Reviews. Okay, so format-wise, we're not going to do the standard MVP Mutant Radio review where we give you a spoiler-free discussion and then spoiler-filled and that kind of stuff. Instead, this is just going to be an unbroken train of thought, free-for-all discussion on the insanity and weirdness and greatness of whatever film we're discussing. And in the future, we have potential candidates such as The Eliminators, Heavy Metal, Silent Rage, Captain Kronos, Vampire Hunter.
Love it.
So as you can see, as we're discussing all of these, you can see that they all defy classification. Split, Red Dawn,
favorite.
9 Deaths of the Ninja.
Heck yes.
Maybe Shokasugi's best bizarre film.
I don't know about you, but when I slice up a bunch of watermelons, I always like to do it blindfolded with like little kittens around and girls in bikinis.
Yes. Dr. Mordred. We'll do
it.
that whole series. Dr. Mordred, Invisible, The Chronicles of Benjamin Knight, and Mandroid. They were the Avengers before the Avengers.
Right. I see you have the DVD. The Blu-ray of this is really incredible with extras beyond the regular video zone. Or is that the Blu-ray?
This is the DVD. It has full moon trailers and the behind the scenes, so it has the video zone.
There are some extra outtakes on it, which are really cool. We should actually compare those. If we do that one, we'll get those out together.
One of my personal favorites, it's maybe a little bit classier than some of the others, Circle of Iron, starring David Carradine, based on a script by Bruce Lee, in a role that was originally supposed to be his. Of course, The Eliminators, Streets of Fire, Repo Man, Ice Pirates, something more recent, Tusk, perhaps?
Haven't seen that one yet.
The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai. This is a horrible collection thing, but they actually has its own disc, so it's not one where they're all shoved on one disc,
Right,
and it's over.
Clowns from outer
space. And it's over compressed. Crossroads, which is kind of a music movie meets horror.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
hey, interesting point. I actually met Steve Vai. and he's totally awesome in that film.
We've seen him play live twice. I was as close to him as we are right now.
Well, I shook his hand, biatch. So there you go.
Well, he threw a pick at me. It went over my head. Army of Darkness, The Last Action Hero, Moonraker, which is James Bond meets Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
Death Race 2000, a personal favorite of mine, El Topo, which I'm going to have to force Brento to
I have
watch.
not seen that yet.
I guarantee you he's going to turn it off 35 minutes into it. If he makes it that far. What else? Scott Pilgrim versus the World, Sweeney Todd, Cabin in the Woods.
Awesome. Great Blu-ray on that.
Death Race 2050, the official follow-up to Death Race 2000.
I don't think I've seen that. That's crazy.
It is every bit as glorious as Death Race 2000.
I'm getting very excited about some of these.
Time Bandits, Hellbound, Chuck Norris versus the Devil.
Oh, absolutely.
The Last Dragon, Show Enough.
Show enough.
All right, so are you excited yet?
Yes, I'm beside myself with excitement.
That is Mutant movie reviews. Okay, Brento, let's talk about Ninja 3: The Domination. This was, for the longest time, hands down, my absolute favorite ninja movie. Only because of the opening scene in the movie. Because I always said, that is what a ninja should be. You got one dude killing 50 dudes. I love everything about it. Now, as we get older, that scene just gets cheesier and cheesier and cheesier. But basically, he shows up to kill a senator. I love how the first thing that happens is the ninja goes over and picks up the golf ball, and he's like trying to intimidate the bodyguard. And he just crushes the golf ball, and the bodyguard's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he starts pushing him. I'm like, "This is so
you
stupid."
might be aware that that scene actually heavily influenced one of my first ninja films. Ninja Attack in the Country, right?
That was influenced by Ninja 3? I thought you guys were influenced by Enter the Dragon.
All of them, but we actually borrowed that gag, Plaster Rock, right? And the whole gag was I was going to get it thrown at me, and I was going to catch it using stop motion. So the guy throws it, and then we just go like that and catch it, with the kind of cutting the time. And unfortunately, Todd had made the plaster too stiff. So I get it, and I'm like, he's like, okay, break it. I'm like, couldn't break it. So we replaced it with a dirt clot. Actually, maybe I can find some of that footage to tie in with this. That would be hilarious. But
Todd being, for those who don't know, Todd A. Britt, our special effects.
Yeah. We
supervisor.
started the film journey together, trying to make our own stuff. But yeah, absolutely. That one is directly responsible for that scene, for sure. I was absolutely enamored with the idea of ninja magic, like that he could disappear and be under the ground and all this craziness.
There's a lot of ninja magic in
It doesn't age well, but as a kid, suspension of disbelief is so much easier. And I always appreciated the Shokisugi style of cutting but not cutting, just rubbing a sword, an alloy sword we now know. We were with, these are so sharp. No, there's no edge at all. So I can totally rub it across your stomach without hurting you. But his stuntmen would react the right way. They were good martial artists in themselves. And it was just joy to watch, man. As a kid, I was completely sucked in.
I love the opening slaughter. Because you see every ninja weapon. He uses needles, shurikens. He hides in the water. He hides in the trees. He jumps through the air. He bicep curls the golf cart. That's one of my favorites, where he's just like, yeah. You have this little tiny Japanese guy, and he's picking up the golf cart. It's so over the top.
Starting with when he goes into that cage with the white suit, the ninja character does, and he opens up he slides that rock back, and it's this lit from beneath.
It's lit from beneath. You're like, what is this?
Laid out. Oh man, it was eyegasm for me. It just blew my hair back.
Yeah, I'm always loath to use the term "so bad it's good," okay? Because I don't feel like we should have to apologize for anything we enjoy. Because to me, if I enjoy it, that means it's good on that level. Now obviously, there's a lot of corny stuff in it, but I would not call this a bad movie. It's a good ninja movie in that you get all the good ninja-ness, but then you have just all the bizarre 80s-ness of it. She has a video game stand-up in her apartment.
Yeah, that would be unheard of.
And it comes to life in the middle of the movie, right? And it's flashing lights at her, and the ninja is using it to possess her mind. She's like, "Arr!" And then the sword comes floating out of the closet, and she's like, "Arr!"
Or how about the portal to wherever in her closet? That every great gag that you could imagine but not actually see they worked it into this.
It was everything from every movie at the time. It's like a little bit of this from Poltergeist.
Poltergeist, yeah.
You know, like the video. I don't know if they're intentionally ripping off Strange Brew with the video game thing, because you remember in Strange Brew how the uncle speaks through the video game.
I'm not sure I've seen
Bob
that,
and Doug
actually.
McKenzie. Oh, you should check it out. Strange Brew. And of course the whole ninja thing was the ninja craze, but it's kind of sandwiched by awesome ninja action. So you have this awesome opening massacre, which is still my all-time favorite, and that's how I like to see my ninjas, because for a long time after that, ninjas got a bad rap. You would just see like 20 of them getting mowed down by one Rambo or Commando or somebody like that, and like, damn it, they need to get that ninja from Ninja 3. You know?
Yeah, I love the American Ninja.
Yeah, right. American Ninja, another great series, which should be covered in this.
But Michael Dudikoff could, like, one man wipe out a ninja army, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But just the opening massacre is my favorite. And then, of course, the ninja battles at the end with Shokasugi and the evil ninja and whatnot. But then you just have this whole in-between story. I would love to hear a proper commentary on... Is there a commentary on this? I would love to hear a proper... There is a commentary. I've never listened to it, though. I should go home and listen to that tonight. I probably should have done it before the show, but I don't care. You're not making the format. Let's go forward. Okay, so I would love to hear how they came up with those different ideas, because in watching Electric Boogaloo, the story of Canon Films,
Oh, yeah, I love it.
you know, you saw how Menachem Golan and what's the other guy's Globus? I can't remember. Yoram Globus. That was it. How they would come up with ideas, and they would do it just like Brent and I, just sitting here, and they go, "We should have a ninja," and then Brent would go, "And the girl should have an arcade in her room," and then Menachem would go, and we'll have a scene like The Exorcist where they try to, you know, and they would just throw it back and forth. And then they go, okay, now put it all in the script. You know, let's have our 9.5 weeks scene where they have the sexy makeout, you know, and they pour tomato juice on her. That was so weird. The thing that for me does not age well in this film is the outright misogyny. I find it so hilarious now to actually look back and see how misogynistic this film actually is, because the girl played by Lucinda Dickey, who discovers the dying ninja and then winds up getting possessed by him, you know, she goes to the police station. Why do they take her into the police station? Because she gets attacked by somebody or something. I forget. But anyway, she's at the police station filing a report, and the cop comes over and just starts hitting on her, like just totally sleazy, just saying stuff that's just complete. He would have completely Me Too'd her just in that little moment, you know, just from
the
what he
crazy
was
part of
saying to
that,
her.
though, is that they made her this like real Renaissance woman. Like she's, I mean, how many times have you seen a telephone repair woman?
She's a telephone repair woman.
You know,
I mean, she's very kind of progressive
dancer,
character.
you
Yeah.
know, all these skill sets apart from like getting ninja ghosted or whatever, you know.
Yeah, and then the weird thing is then she actually falls for this super creep. That's where the writing is like really bad in like the middle of this movie, and it's like super misogynistic, because you never ever like this actual cop. I mean, the guy's a total asshole through the whole thing, but then the movie is just so over the top and wacky. So through the whole middle of it, then you have this bizarre stretch where she starts doing ninja assassinations and stuff, and then they realize what's happening. They decide to try to take her to an exorcist, and that's where we see
One of my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
I thought she delivered really on the dramatic aspect of it, with the exorcist scene in particular. She like surprises you. She's kind of cheesy, but like, you know, when it takes the dramatic turn there, she actually kind of got it done with that scene for me, and I was like, wow, you know, like this is a little deeper, you know, than just your typical, you know, female ninja guys or whatever actually possessed ninja. But
it's bizarre. It was literally like they just sandwiched the exorcist into it. But that's where we see the great James Hong as the Asian exorcist. I mean, they never say what he is. He's like a Taoist priest or whatever. Right. But yeah, so it's totally insane. So you have this whole middle stretch of the movie that's the Exorcist or Poltergeist or whatever, and then back at the end, you know, Shokasugi shows up and he's like, "Hey, I'm here for the ninja movie part," you know. And yeah, he's got the patch in this one, which makes him awesome. You know, patches are cool.
And you just know he lost that eye with like a ninja star to the eye, right? Yeah,
and I forget what happens. It's because of like the exorcism or whatever, and then for some reason, because of that, like the ninja just pops back up to life or something. It's like they chase the spirit out of her, and then because of that, his cadaver just like reanimates.
It got crazy with the whole earthquake and stuff, and
it's just bizarre.
Spinning around. Actually, by the way, also did that shot in our film, where he's like, you know, and he spins around. We tried that as well.
Okay, yeah.
So more than influence, it actually made us want to go and make the same thing, you know.
Exactly. But yeah, so it's a fun film. It's fun from the greasy point of view of it, of just watching the greasiness of some of these characters. It's fun just watching Lucinda Dickey, who is a very likable character throughout this entire film, and then the ninja action, awesome. I mean, the opening massacre, like I said, is still just one of my absolute favorites. I mean, there really hasn't been a match for just pure ninja massacre action like that until like the recent, what was that ninja movie that came out just in like 2009, Shadow of the Ninja or whatever it was?
Yeah, there were two there that were really good.
There was one that was
Korean
in the theater, the ninja whatever.
And Shokasugi was the
yeah,
ninja.
yeah, and Shokasugi came back as the master.
Yeah, he was still a badass in that.
That was the first
like
time.
Goosebumps for me.
We saw something where they finally, had a massacre like that again, but yeah, I mean, I just absolutely love it. Let me tell you something. I really have come to appreciate Shokasugi as a martial artist. At the time I didn't. You kind of take it for granted because everybody was, we had Chuck Norris, we had Van Damme come shortly after this. Shokasugi was actually the bridge to Van Damme. They had that one combo movie, Black Eagle, where they were both in it together. That was one of Van Damme's early films. And they had a little tiny fight in it, but yeah. Wow. But Kasugi has great kicks. His kicks are beautiful, and especially with those kind of flared pants that they would wear and the way his foot would whip. He had great heel hooks.
He just looked great.
Everything.
Like just his shape. And
he was so smooth.
Had those super deep stances and just like the holding the sword. Like I always felt like I could tell when he was the stuntman ninja. You know what I mean? Like playing the other ninjas. Mm-hmm. I always felt like I could tell when it was him doing something because he's just so iconic with his stances. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. In a weird way, like Wesley Snipes, it feels like took some of that. You know what I mean? Like for the blade rolls and stuff. Like just that landing in like a perfect kind of like, comic frame moment that looks like a ninja.
Maybe so. And that's probably comes a bit from both of their, Japanese traditional martial arts, similar in that way, because Snipes was traditionally trained as well.
Well, I hold all ninja, like the Octagon, Chuck Norris, I hold all ninjas up to that, probably. It kind of like colored my appreciation for other ninja movies. Like take The Master, for example. He was in that as the villain, but he was not the hero ninja in that. And so I always felt like I enjoyed the parts with him in it, the villain ninja with the cool outfit and stuff. And I always felt like maybe they weren't up to like, I don't know if that was his A team, like with the main ninja movies in that film. Like some of the stuff just didn't look like it was like on that same production level.
Well, The Master was TV show.
Fighting. Well, yeah, I guess I didn't have as much time probably to work out all the fight scenes and stuff, but he still looked amazing. In fact, when he was on the screen, like I was bolted to the screen. The rest of the time I was just like, we're teaching this kid how to drive a van, fix a tire, whatever.
Yeah, The Master, for those who don't know, with Lee Van Cleef as the master, the ninja master, and when he would put on his ninja outfit, he would get in much better shape somehow.
Ironically, yeah.
Yes, it's starring Timothy Van Patten of the Van Patten clan as like the annoying geek that drove him around in the van.
What was his name? Max.
Yeah, Max. Yeah, he was horrible. And the first episode, special appearance from Demi Moore. But that's
I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole, but like I feel about The Master the same way I feel about like John York's Werewolf TV series. Like
Werewolf, yeah.
Yeah, like there are parts of it I'm like, thank God there's a werewolf show on TV, right? And then like you're like, but the mouths don't move.
But the rest of it's horrible.
Yeah. They pretty much had like that iconic shot when it would rear up, and then like the hand thing, and it's like we're almost at Howling level, but then not really. But then they're not really great.
A lot of budgetary constraints.
So ninja movies are similar to that, and of course like Domination is sitting at the top of the heap for me.
What is the appeal of ninja movies?
I mean,
just kind of the strangeness of it. Well, one, always the physical aspects. I mean, you're always intrigued to see people that can supposedly do these things physically for real. Okay, the reveal of the kind of the mystery behind the ninja. Seeing all the different weapons because you're like, oh man, look at that, oh look at that, oh, and you can do that.
It's one of those things that like up until a certain point it hadn't really been stylistically changed that much. Like Last Samurai, they look different in that, and I was like, oh, the ninja are on screen right now. Like suddenly, like I was already into the film, of course, but when the ninja came on, I was like, oh, these are they're real traditional looking, like real period, and don't look at all like the ninjas that I'm accustomed to watching. But this makes a whole lot more sense, And I don't know, like you said, like it's just the air of mystery, assassins, which are always interesting anyway. The Hessians or whatever, but then like with supernatural abilities, like beyond great martial arts and stuff, walking through walls, vanishing into air,
Yeah.
disfiguring their faces to keep from being discovered.
All that crazy stuff. And this film, I mean, that's probably one of the reasons why we love it, is because it just embraces the gonzo nature of all of that.
So many, like very few people really tapped into that market. I mean, like you had obviously the cinematic greatness of Shokasugi, but then people like Stephen K. Hayes and, obvious non-trained people grasp onto that. And it's, even then, it was like enough, the mystery of it was enough to sell a shit ton of books and seminars and DVDs, back
Stephen Hayes being one of those guys that purported to share ninja secrets. There's a whole series of books that he wrote.
I believe he's a ninja, like I believe Frank Dukes was in the
I saw an interesting documentary with him on it, okay, and they gave him a challenge, okay?
1995.
Did you see this documentary?
No, it sounds good.
Oh, okay.
I want to see it.
Okay, well, they gave him a challenge. They said, okay, you have to assassinate this guy. And the guy was inside a little apartment or whatever, and he had guards, right? And they didn't give him, no other restrictions, nothing else. It's just, okay, you have to assassinate this guy. So what he did was he disguised himself as a delivery man, and he came to the door, and the guards came out and talked to him. They didn't recognize him. And then when they kind of turned and he saw the target in the background, he ran and he tagged him. He said, "You're dead." It was cool. It was cool. And he said, "That's how you do it. It's deception." Yeah.
I somehow would think it'd be like a lot more like,
because they had like all these cameras set up, and they're like, "Oh, we've got infrared. They can't sneak past this. They can't get past." They had all this surveillance set up, right, that, and he just used disguise and misdirection. Pretty interesting. Which you will not see too much of in Ninja 3: The Domination, though she does pretend to be. I like the scene where she's going around killing all the cops. So that's basically the plot of the movie. Is once the cops just shoot down the super ninja at the beginning, which I love how they shoot him down because they're all in a circle shooting at him. They're like, "Hey, Brett, let's shoot this ninja between us."
Hey, he's finally, he's finally dead. Oh no, he's not.
Yeah, right. And then he like disappears.
It felt like that. It felt like that went on forever. Like how many times was he down? And like they milked that.
So she spends the rest of the movie assassinating all the cops that took their turn shooting
secret
him.
vixen murderess.
Yeah, and I love the scene where the sleazy cop, he's in the hot tub with the two girls, and they're like making out. Yeah, he's got the big stogie just to make him extra sleazy and greasy, And then she just comes walking in and starts making out with him, and the other girls are like, well, you can have him. We don't want him. And then she scratches him with her little poison ring, and then she jumps and kills the girls. It's great. It's great stuff.
Killer.
So it just has everything you want, except no nudity. Does it?
I think that scene features
It has a little side boob action.
Pretty awesome monokini in it, and then of course there's a scene with the open shirt, which you see. You don't really see the boobs, but I mean, you were going to, and that's often enough, It's
implied. So Ninja 3: The Domination is the perfect movie for gatherings, for when you're there with a lot of friends, or as I like to call them, just midnight movies. If you're ready to go to bed, you're tired, you want to put on something that is not going to challenge your mind, but is like going to keep you entertained until you drift off, then those are the kind of films that you want.
I love it. So it's the perfect little injection of martial arts, supernatural fun from a bygone era. If the freaking cinemas were back today and they were to show that like for a midnight movie, I would totally go.
So great ninja action to open, great ninja action to close, filled with 80s gonzo weirdness. Good performance from Lucinda Dickey, who's very likable throughout the whole film. You've got the great crazy exorcist possession storyline jammed on top of it. You've got ninja magic, ninja action, Shokasugi with an eye patch. I mean, what more could you ask for? Now, let's talk a little bit about mutants, Mutantville, and mutant movie reviews. One of my goals when we initially started reviews for MVP Mutant Radio and Mutant TV, originally on YouTube in the first format for our reviews, was to kind of keep the spirit alive of Joe Bob Briggs and the Drive-In and Monster Vision and those kind of things. And we did that. We kept that spirit alive. I used Streebo Slasher stats and that kind of stuff. Or I used the Streebo Screamometer to give films a rating, right? Well, Joe Bob Briggs has finally come back on Shudder. He's hosting The Last Drive-In now on Shudder. So So we kind of did our part to keep the spirit alive, and now he's back and he's doing his thing. And he always called fans of the drive-in mutants, and that was in part our homage to Joe Bob Briggs, in part in naming Mutantville, and we have mutant this and that and everything else. So now you know. And also, if you ever come across a picture of Joe Bob Briggs' first reunion with Honey, the original male girl, the person behind the camera is me. I was there the moment they met, reunited, watched the entire thing, took pictures of it. He got all my pictures to share. You're welcome.
If you think the genre is not on Rewind, there is a drive-in theater less than half a mile from where we sit right now. And tonight they're showing Evil Dead 1 and 2.
So yes, we are actually half a mile from the Baden Drive-In Theater. There's actually an old abandoned theater less than half a mile from where Streebo lives. And I have been trying to convince somebody to buy it so that we can reopen it, because now in the COVID era is the time to switch to outdoor venues. Drive-ins should make a good, healthy comeback. Because during all of this, they're the only theaters that have been open. So it's pretty crazy. But
drive-ins kick ass.
Yeah, pay no attention to that thing. So anyway, that is our review for Ninja 3, The Domination. If you haven't seen it, check it out. If you have seen it, it's been a while, go back and revisit it, laugh at all the insanity in it. And if you have suggestions for which of the mutant movie reviews you would like us to focus on next, as always, you can leave us suggestions on the iTunes page with a nice review. Would be really, really helpful. You can leave us a positive comment on one of the YouTube pages, or you can stop by our blog, the MVP blog, at mutantville.com. It hasn't changed in 20 years. What do you know? So anyway, this is Streebo.
Johnny Brento.
This is MVP Mutant Radio, Mutant Movie Reviews. Thank you for listening. Follow me on Twitter at JTMCROBERTS. You can find Mutantville Productions on Facebook. Of course, there's the Mutantville Players YouTube channel. If you want to see my really out there reviews, you can find those over at Indie Film Reviews, where I unleash my darker side on some of my reviews. And of course, Johnny Brento has several locations throughout the internet.
BrentBowers.com for all my art stuff, personal happenings. At Brent Bowers for Twitter, and then Graybro on Instagram.
So there you go. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you next time here on MVP Mutant Radio.